Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video. Let's jump straight into the analysis. So here on the weekly chart, looks like, of course, we still have 2 days left. We have the weekend, but I don't expect anything too much. It looks like once again we're gonna close below resistance, but that's okay. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna keep monitoring the micro pitchfork here. Something I thought was very interesting, which I'm not sure I shared this in the past, but right now we're looking at the modified shift pitchfork. If we adjust this pitchfork here to the shift pitchfork, I'm actually noticed that we are back at this median line here from the other side. So we can see here on the weekly time frame how nicely this shift pitchfork has been holding up the candles here. So hopefully this could be a low here before they will continue the trend to the upside. Basically, price breaking above the median line, retest, and then resumption. Something like that I would hope to see. Overall, the modified shift is still our macro potential target. As time passes, it becomes more and more difficult for me to call for this median line because I do think this target is insane, but we're going to keep monitoring one day at a time. On the daily time frame, nothing too much to say. As I've been saying, I do still think we're in this chopping mode here, and we'll just have to wait here for a confirmed move, a confirmed breakup to the upside. I still believe this pitchfork here is valid. I still think we're going to continue to the upside here, but as of for now, Bitcoin is just continuing to chop here on the daily time frame. Something else I want to talk about, which I thought was very interesting, is the whole space is currently talking about this, but we can see here for a first time in a long time, we can see the S&P 500 is absolutely crushing here, forming new lows, and look how strongly Bitcoin is. As you guys know, as we've been talking about, Bitcoin is heavily correlated with the stock market. To see something like this, the stock market dropping like crazy and Bitcoin barely moves, I'm not really sure what to think about this. Some people say this is very bullish, and it could be that Bitcoin is currently starting a decoupling from the stock market. I personally think this is bullish, but we also need to be cautious here that it's not that Bitcoin is going to snap back and follow the stock market. So we need to be aware of this because I know a lot of people are looking at this right now. But overall, I think this is a bullish thing that we're seeing right now. How Bitcoin is holding up much stronger in the stock market. It looks like most of the fear is going into the stock market right now, while Bitcoin holders don't feel the same panic like the stockholders have at the moment. So this could be also just something temporary. They're going to continue to correlate, but as of for now, I thought it was very interesting. The big difference, how not only did we put a lower low here in the stock market, but we made a substantial lower low, but Bitcoin is continuing to putting lower highs here basically. So this is very interesting to see here on Bitcoin. Something else I want to share with you as well is here a post from Colin Talks Crypto. He's been tracking the the global M2 money supply. Basically what he's talking about is that historically looking, the M2 money supply, if you offset it by around 108 days, Bitcoin tends to follow it. And we all guys know that the global liquidity and Bitcoin do have some kind of correlation. And we can see here the yellow chart here looks like the M2 money supply has recently put another record high, which I do believe is, even if you don't agree that Bitcoin is going to go to all-time high, I do think this is a bullish thing overall for Bitcoin so far. Historically looking, Bitcoin tends to follow this chart. So this is another reason why I remain very, very bullish here. I think worst case scenario, as I've been saying, we should at least get a relief rally up towards this median line, which is sitting at around 100K. Of course, if we get sooner there, it could be lower, but I'm aiming for around 100K. If we get something like this on Bitcoin, once we hit the median line, then we can talk about if Bitcoin can actually break all-time highs or how we're gonna take it from there. As of now, there's a lot of uncertainty, but once again, I do really like to see how strong Bitcoin is holding, especially here to the stock market. I do believe that this is a bullish thing, but we need to be cautious here because it could be just a temporary move before then Bitcoin snaps back and follows the stock market, but I do think that's unlikely. So very interesting charts here. We can see also the stock market absolutely has been crashing. Bitcoin has been holding strong here. So we're going to see how this can develop. I still lean towards my bullish case. On the 4-hour, let's jump into the smaller time frame analysis here on Bitcoin. On the 4-hour, more chop here, more chop. Nothing else to say. I'm still sitting sidelined here. I'm my spot holdings, but from a trading perspective, I haven't jumped into a long here yet on Bitcoin, which I really like to, but it looks like for some reason, price just doesn't want to go to this median line. I still remain open for us to sweep these lows here. I come to this median line. I'm still looking. Previously it was 80K, but as you guys can see, the median line changes over time. This is a median line we're looking at. This is basically the most important level. We can highlight it here, make it a bit thicker. This red line here, which is currently sitting at more or less exact 79.8K. I'm still open for a move here down on Bitcoin, perhaps over the weekend. Gonna open up here I'm planning to open long and then trying to catch the rally to the upside, because I do think it's just sooner or later before we start getting a rally here. This, once again, we spoke about this yesterday. If we check the liquidation heat map, we can come here on the 2-week chart on the liquidation heat map, correlates very nicely with the liquidity that we have right below us here. So you can see under these lows here, there's some liquidity have been sitting here for a while, and for some reason Bitcoin is just not taking it. So it's sitting here at around 80k, probably a week down to 79k. 79.9k as we spoke about. I think that would be the ideal scenario. Of course, we also have bunch of liquidity above us, but look at all this juicy liquidity here to sweep these lows, hit the median line would be perfect correlation before Bitcoin takes off, and we can catch the next rally to the upside. I do really do strongly think we're gonna, it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin getting a rally. Of course, the stock market is not looking too pretty, which we're gonna look at in a second, but as of for now, I like what I'm seeing here. I really like what I'm seeing. Of course, there's a possibility we never test this liquidity, but I do think it's a higher chance. We should be prepared for something like this here, and then we can start slowly but surely breaking out of this range and going to much higher targets. So outlook remains the same. We'll keep monitoring this pitchfork here day by day. Nothing else to say here, otherwise more chop here. We also have the weekend coming up, so I don't expect anything too crazy here to happen on Bitcoin. I think it's just going to be a very boring choppy days until Monday. So that's what I'm looking at. Then, of course, the stock market. What is there to say about the stock market? Stock market has been absolutely destroyed. I speak about on a daily basis with some really smart traders. Some traders that pure look at fundamentals, out of technical traders, and the most smart minds in this game, basically, that I know of. All of them say the same. All of them are just waiting for more price action to develop. Everybody's talking about how uncertain the market is. And one of the best traders basically I know are telling me that they are not really touching this price action. And that's kind of my outlook this currently as well, because we had the 0.31 Fibonacci here. So I was hoping that we're going to get something like this on the stock market. 1, 2, 3, 4, the 0.31, and then we could start a rally here. A fifth wave, which will also correlate with then Bitcoin also following the stock market. But as of for now, we broke the 0.31 here. We got some few bounces off it. We got here a major bounce, then we tested it again, another small bounce before stock market dropped. And I'm not going to try to catch a falling knife. I really believe and I agree with the people saying that there's a lot of uncertainty here. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. So we have to just take this one day at a time. Right now, this looks like a very ugly drop. Of course, the lows could already be in. And this was just a fear drop with an ABC, and then stocks slowly but surely going to continue to the upside. That could be on the table. I'm not trying to predict that too much, but what I'm going to say, if we continue to see a bigger correction develop, that's of course not going to be good for Bitcoin, because we're going to touch here the Bitcoin chart. Even for shorter time frame, we could of course see some kind of relief rally here, but we need to overall be aware that on a macro time frame, Bitcoin is correlating with the stock market. So I don't think decoupling is going to be like, we're going to see Bitcoin doing this while the stock market going down. That's not going to happen in my opinion. But even here, short time frame, it does look good here. As I said, once again, Bitcoin is holding strongly here, but what we don't want to wish for is extreme downside. Of course, we could still get a bit more downside in the stock market, but if we're forming a macro top in the stock market, I just don't see Bitcoin having the strength to make all-time highs. So we need to start finding a bottom here in the stock market. Time will tell. I can't really give you any more targets. You could pull here from the complete lowest low to the highest high. And we can see we've violated this 0.31. You could, of course, use the log scale here. Once again, I don't love really adjusting my levels, because previously we had this level here. But what you can do, if you really want to look for support level, just pull from the lows here we had in October 22 to the all-time highs. And we can see here currently we are sitting at the 0.31 here. So maybe, once again, guys, I'm not looking to trade this, but maybe the stock market can put some relief rally here and the 0.31 can hold us up. So we have to see. But once again, guys, my scenario was invalidated. There was a fourth wave here and then a fifth wave. We broke down, so we're just gonna wait and see. But ideally, once again, we don't want to see a bigger sell-off starting. That's not gonna be good for Bitcoin overall. Then, of course, Ethereum against Bitcoin. We've been talking about this for a very long time. So far, so good here. We are right at the median line. Weekly close looks so far so good. I think we're gonna get weekly close above here, and then perhaps next week we can start seeing some green candle here on Ethereum against Bitcoin, and slowly but surely we're gonna see this trend reverse. To be fair with you, because I dove a bit deeper into this analysis here yesterday, and I was looking at a few different charts. I still believe the bottom is in for Ethereum against Bitcoin, but time will show if we can actually get such an impulsive move here, because the market don't look overall too great here, and for so much money to flow all of a sudden into Ethereum, we have to see. So 100% move, perhaps I might be wrong on this, so perhaps the yellow squiggle is not going to play out fully, so perhaps we'll get something more like this and then a continuation down. Time will tell, but overall I'm calling for a bounce here. As I said, this yellow squiggle is locked in here. We're going to take it one day at a time, but even if this yellow squiggle is going to follow, it's not going to happen overnight. So we can see here, this should go all the way down, goes all the way until next year. So we have to see, but I'm still calling bottom here. I still think Ethereum is going to have some nice moves to the upside. What else is there to cover? We didn't take a look at the open interest. Open interest on Bitcoin still looking good. Nothing too much else to say. Crypto fear and greed index 25, slightly higher than yesterday, but overall we're very close to extreme fear. Historically, this has been a good place to buy. Buy when there is fear. We can still take a look at the total crypto market cap here quickly as well. Total crypto market cap is holding up Bitcoin here. We spoke about this not yesterday, but the video before. This is the reason why Bitcoin is holding up so well. We can see we have from the all-time highs to the recent lows to the recent highs. Total crypto market cap is holding up strongly at this median line, which is slightly different if we come back here on the Bitcoin chart. So we have similar chart here on Bitcoin, but we're using the highest high, which actually was later on compared to the total crypto market cap where we have the earlier high. So these pitchforks are not exactly correlated. They would be nicer if we use this high here on Bitcoin. Then we can see Bitcoin still bouncing from the median line, but technically that's not correct because you want to use the highest high to start drawing your pitchfork. So I'm still open for one more move down here on Bitcoin, but there's a small chance that the total crypto market cap is not going to allow it, and we're going to go climb higher and of course leave 79k untapped, even though I think 79k should get hit here on Bitcoin. So I still think one more push down here and Bitcoin is just putting in a massive one, slow two wave. Once we hit it, then finally we can start the third wave. That's what I'm looking at. We can also look at Ethereum against Bitcoin here before we end the video, because a lot of people are asking me, have Ethereum bottomed against dollar? Because I did call the bottom on Ethereum against Bitcoin, but Ethereum against dollar, has it bottomed? Well, let's take a look. I was looking at we've been talking about this pitchfork here in the past, how this median line in the past have been an excellent buying opportunity. Bull market top, bear market lows, recent highs. You draw the shift pitchfork. Once the median line gets hit, we tend to have a massive rally. Once again, bull market top, bear market lows, recent highs. We can see the only time this different here is Ethereum is still bouncing from this median line. So the more times we test the median line, the weaker it gets, especially if you zoom in here on the daily time frame. We can see here once again we have gotten like 1, 2, 3 bounces off the median line. It's a macro pitchfork, so I will allow it a few touches, but a general rule is the more touches we get of support, the weaker it gets. So we have to see. I'm still sitting long here. I'm feeling hopeful, but we need to start seeing some move here happening relatively soon. Otherwise, this median line can break. There's only so many bounces this median line can provide before then bears take over. Basically, the selling pressure will be too heavy and we break it. Ideally, want to see here next week very, very quickly see some impulse move to the upside. But as of for now, I'm long here personally. You can see here my long position on Ethereum, hoping we're going to get something similar like we got here last time. Once again, I'm not calling for this move. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think at least a relief rally, maybe we could see 3K Ethereum again. So maybe we can get something like this in the upcoming months if the bull market continues. So that's all it for today, guys. Keep monitoring this 79.8k, 79.9k I'm looking at. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the likes, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe. We're gonna cover altcoins. We're gonna cover a lot of things in tomorrow's video. Also gonna cover gold. I forgot to talk about that. I believe gold has stopped as well. We're gonna cover that in tomorrow's live stream. So make sure hit the notification bells, subscribe, be inside the Discord. See you again, guys, tomorrow. Have a great weekend.
Going long from the bottom, short from the top, with medium precision, he just don't stop. Going long from downtown, from the 031, target smash, TP out, and the Cobra's done. Snake and bake, King Cobra. Snake and bake,